You ever been to a rodeo? You ever watch calf roping? Like, that's what TJ Watt does right here in this play. Little head fake to McGarry, bam, comes underneath. Watch how quickly he takes Bijan down. Like, that's calf roping. Like, he wins that part of the rodeo right there. But it was way more than that, as we know. Like, you watch this right here, and I believe that he goes off on the second head bop. Right when Dahlman's second head bop, I think he's right with the ball. He's called for offsides. But regardless, when you slam Kirk Cousins into the ground, these hits compound themselves, especially early in the game. Quarterbacks start thinking about you a lot. Now, here you go. Right here, from this stance, you got to be able to see everything. So when this motion comes by and the ball snapped and it's on the ground, you adjust, and then you beat 3 Falcons to the ball. You got to see everything. He sees everything. Then you do this. If you don't block him and you let him go trail the play, like he does right here, like he's going to come. In 4 steps, down goes Algier. And then with 13 seconds to go in the game, you know what time it is? It's closing time. Last call for the fake 2 hands to the chest, and then the rip. Bam! Kirk Cousins, more rodeo action, more takedowns, more game-changing plays. Closing the game out is what TJ did in this game.
This is a great throw by Fields, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cut it loose, take a shot, drift him in right there, just enough. Terrell's on the outside. I like it. Look at him. Sees that this safety kind of hangs. Jesse looks like he goes back to the middle of the field. I like the eyes, Justin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See how his eyes get over late? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, dude, we got to throw it. Don't wait. Throw it. As he's taking that shot. That's really good to, how often does this happen? It's really good realizing the corner's got that outside leverage, man. Like, he's got that outside leverage. I love the lean by Pickens, but so often quarterbacks just throw this ball outside because that's what they're used to doing. It's really good, man. Really good.
So, before I get more into the highlights and analysis of this video and the plays, let me just say this. Those first 2 clips, the first one, the breakdown was done by Brian Baldwinger. Baldy NFL is his handle. Go ahead and check him out. Does great player and team breakdowns on X. And also the second clip was done by Dan Orlovsky, former NFL quarterback. Go ahead and check him out on X as well. He does a great job as well, breaking down teams and breaking down players, plays, and films. And these next clips, these are me talking over them and giving my analysis on it. So if you like videos like this, you like highlights and breakdowns, make sure you like this video. And also make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on so you never miss out. Now, let's get right back into it. This play at the end of half was meant for Justin Fields to roll left, use his athleticism, use his arm strength, throw back right, and it worked out perfectly for a dot to George Pickens to go out of bounds and end up getting a field goal. Not too many offense coordinators would make this play call, but with someone like Justin Fields in the backfield, you feel comfortable doing so. It was a perfect throw, but George Pickens almost didn't realize the clock was running down, was going to cut it back inside for a touchdown, but then ended up going out of bounds with 1 second, so it ended up being perfect. On this play, however, Mink Fitzpatrick, he comes down like a seeking missile and absolutely lays the boom on Bijan Robinson. His name wasn't called much, he wasn't flashy, but he just played a solid game. Same thing in this clip. There was some praise for Minka. Now here's some praise for Cameron Hayward and Montravius Adams coming down and being the defensive line and seeking pressure on Kirk Cousins. Same thing here with Larry Ogunjobi. Those 3 beat their man. Their names weren't called much, but they did their job. And this play actually led to a Deshaun Elliott interception, but obviously it's caused by the pressure because Larry Ogunjobi created that on Kirk Cousins to make an erratic throw. Everyone looks at the Deshaun Elliott interception, but you have to realize that's created somehow, and that was created by the pressure by Larry Ogunjobi. And over here, you see TJ Watt. He had an amazing game. Pass rush, everything like that. But he could do it all. He could do it stuffing the run as well. And he shows his capabilities here in this clip, getting past his defender, his offensive lineman that was over him, and getting to Bijan Robinson in the backfield. So now, just to recap this game, in the title, it says destroyed. What does that mean? Well, that's obviously talking about the defense destroying the Atlanta Falcons offense. because it was a defensive masterclass by the Steelers. It was also a special teams masterclass by the Steelers. It wasn't necessarily an offensive masterclass, but the offense did play better than some people would have thought. When you look at this game, you look at it being low scoring, all field goals, you would think that the offense did not play well. Well, they only went 3 and out once the entire game, after it seems like last season they're going 3 and out every possession. And also, why was it a pretty solid game for the offense, other than outside not scoring touchdowns? When you look at this offense, it was a running game. You look at Justin Fields, he had like 14 carries. Najee Harris had 20. Obviously, Cordero Patterson, Jalen Warren were involved. So it's around like 40 carries. And the offense was really possession dominant. The Steelers held the ball longer for the Atlanta Falcons. And that's something the Steelers did not happen last season. And that made the defense be on the field longer. It made the defense tired. And even though the defense was a standout defense last season, they just ended up being tired towards the end of the games. But no, not this game. Even though the offense wasn't great, they still held the ball long enough to give the defense a break. And they had those long drives, those long possessions to give the defense a rest and rest up and be able to make the plays that they were able to make, to be able to get those sacks, those stops in the backfield, get those interceptions, those turnovers, and make things happen, all because the offense was able to give them time to rest and be able to recharge and recuperate. So you look at the offense, even though it wasn't a great performance for the wide receivers, anything like that, for Justin Fields or anything. It was just a really solid game in terms of possession dominant. No mistakes were made, and that's something the Steelers lay their hat on, and that's something that was a standout for this game. And when you look at the long drives, what am I saying? Well, they're able to get deep into Atlanta Falcons territory, even though it didn't end up being touchdowns. It's something to really improve on next week when you get that far to end up making it capitalize into touchdowns. But so far, so good for the Steelers, I believe personally. Something that could be better is the wide receiver blocking. It seems like Van Jefferson, George Pickens, Calvin Austin, they just can't block. But at the same time, they're being put in positions where Calvin Austin is the lead blocker on the outside on must-have plays, which should not happen. Instead of throwing a screen or throwing a bootleg, whatever it is, giving the bootleg to Van Jefferson and having Calvin Austin block, why wouldn't you use Calvin Austin in that role and have Van Jefferson block or have someone else block? That's just something the Steelers could do different. But also, just to kind of recap this game, the defense was amazing from TJ Watt. He should have had 3 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, but it just did not happen. Flags ended up happening, and it was taken back. The one where he was called offsides for, he actually timed it perfectly. If you look at the replay, look at everything like that, he actually timed it perfectly. Even though he was the first one to move, he moved after the hand was pulled back by the center, which is allowed to happen. Just because he timed it perfectly compared to everyone else on the football field, from the offensive line to defense line, he's the best player in the world for a reason. Best defense player. So he timed it perfectly, but he was flagged for it for no reason. So even though it wasn't stat-wise, this is one of TJ Watt's best games that did not end up capitalizing into actual box score stats. But it seemed like he was all over the field making plays, not only in the pass rush, getting to the quarterback, but also tackles for loss and making plays on the running back and in the run game. So TJ Watt was amazing. Also, the defense line was solid as well. Larry Ogunjobi, Cameron Hayward, Montravius Adams, Keanu Benton, Alex Highsmith. Even though all those guys' names weren't called that much, they played a really solid game. Same with Mink Fitzpatrick and people like that. Mink Fitzpatrick didn't make too many plays, but when your name isn't called in the secondary, that's a good sign, because that means that the wide receivers and other people aren't doing much stuff on you to allow your name to be called in a bad way. Same with the Beanie Bishop, Joey Porter Jr., and players like that. So when your name isn't called as a secondary, that's a better thing. But Dante Jackson, interception. First game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, great game. He was able to play solid and get the interception. Same with Deshaun Elliott, getting the interception as well in their first game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. But obviously that is created by Kirk Cousins having to hurry up and throw the ball because of the pressure that is on him. But one thing I will say is, in this game specifically, compared to all the games last season, this Pittsburgh Steelers secondary, just this game alone, looks way better than they did last season. where it seemed like every play, it was just hoping that a big play would not happen, for a wide receiver to be wide open, for something to go wrong. It would be a 30-yard wide receiver wide open, and then the game would change. But it seems like just this game alone, obviously it could change during the season. Stuff could change for the wrong and the better, whatever. But just this game alone, their secondary looked much better than last season, all 17 games. Now, let me just go over the box score really quickly. Even though Justin Fields' stats weren't amazing, he was still 17 for 23, 156 passing yards. So his passing percentage, completion percentage was great. Najee Harris, 20 carries, 70 yards. Justin Fields, 14 carries, 57 yards. Cordell Patterson was actually used more than Jaylen Warren. The only thing I could think of is Jaylen Warren is still dealing with that hamstring injury, so they're trying to be careful with him because that should not happen. Jaylen Warren should not have 2 carries, and Cordell Patterson have 4. Jaylen Warren should be up there with Najee Harris, I believe. Najee Harris is still the lead back in my eyes, but Jaylen Warren should be up there. Receiving yards, it was basically all George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth. George Pickens, 6 receptions, 85 yards. Pat Freiermuth, 4 receptions, 27. Jaylen Warren, 213. Mikael Pruitt, 1-9. Najee Harris, 1-9. Calvin Austin, 1-7. Darnell Washington, 1-5. Van Jefferson, 1-1. So it was basically all George Pickens, and then some catches, possession catches by Pat Freiermuth as well. Looking at defense, Mike Fitzpatrick leading the team in tackles. You look at TJ Watt leading the team, having some sacks, 1 sack, we should have had 3. Montravius Adams, 1 sack. You look at the interceptions by Deshaun Elliott and obviously Dante Jackson. So those are the standout players for offense and defense. And then the standout MVP of this game was Chris Boswell. 6 for 6 on field goals, and his longest being 57. I believe he had 3 for 50 plus yards and 3 for 40 or in that range. So Chris Boswell was MVP. Cameron Johnston, that's a big major injury update of this video. He's out for season now with a knee injury. And that's a shame because in his 2 punts, it was really good, having an average of 51.5 and 2 punts in total for 103 yards and 1 lining inside the 20. He got injured, they had to re-kick. Chris Boswell ended up re-kicking it, and he had 1 punt for 43 yards. So Chris Boswell was a do-it-all, but still Cameron Johnston getting injured will affect the Steelers big time come here in the future because only game 1, the Steelers are going to end up having to punt the ball, and now they have to go sign someone else outside. Maybe they return of Presley Harvin III or one of the former Steelers punters that were here, but Steelers have to look elsewhere now because he's out for season. So in general, this is a recap of the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Atlanta Falcons in week 1 of the 2024-2025 NFL season. And let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about this game and the recap of this game. What did you like? What didn't you like? What do you think the Steelers could improve on? And how do you feel about these highlights and analysis in this video? And do you like it? And also, if you do like it, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis, reports, rumors, everything like that. I've covered it all this offseason. And now week 1 and this regular season, I'm covering it all as well. So stay tuned to the channel, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.